And joining us now is Jonathan Spencer. He's a professor at the University of Edinburgh in the School of Social and Political Science. Thanks for being with us here on France 24. So we haven't seen or heard from the president in the past few days, but he's expected to resign on Wednesday. Do you think we might eventually hear from him? And what happens next here?
It's completely bizarre what is going on at the moment. He seems to be only addressing the world through the medium of the Speaker of the Parliament, or at least that's what the Speaker of the Parliament says. There are constant rumors about where he is, whether he's in the country, whether he's on a Navy ship. And obviously there's a lot of skepticism, as you just heard, about his intentions and whether he really will step down as he says he will on Wednesday.
It's been thrown into chaos. Do you think there will be an agreement on a coalition to move things forward, or on who might replace the president and the prime minister?
Well, there's a constitutional provision that if nothing else happens, again, the Speaker of the Parliament, as I understand it, would be the default. And what people are talking about is a short-term solution. This is not like a coalition for the long term. It's a government, an all-party government that will get the country through the next few months. And when hopefully the economy is beginning to show signs of recovery, then there'll be an opportunity for elections, which are desperately needed.
Yeah, so as you say, this is all being driven by the economy. Do you think there's the political will to change things? Will the protesters get what they're looking for?
Well, there's a terrible problem here, which is that the current occupants of the parliament are basically predominantly members of the Rajapaksa's more or less personal political party. It's a very undistinguished group of parliamentarians. There are a small number of very able politicians in there, but they're very much in the minority. So to expect some kind of creative resolution to the problem to come from Parliament seems very, very unlikely. And the protesters, meanwhile, a lot of the time seem to be determined to reject all of the existing political establishment, which when you need somebody sooner or later to come in and take some degree of control is also a slightly problematic position.
Yeah, given there's so much uncertainty, do you think that all of this marks a turning point for Sri Lanka, or do you think that things will remain the same?
They're not going to remain the same. I think that's pretty much not going to happen. The Rajapaksas are not going to come back from this. Their credibility is completely shot. And the kind of politics they represent has been challenged very powerfully. There are very powerful signs of hope in the situation as well. The protest movement is a very extraordinary one. It's a non-violent protest movement. It's made up predominantly of young people. It's very inclusive. It doesn't do the politics of ethnicity or religion, which have been so damaging in the country. It tries not to do that as best it can. So it does represent a remarkable break from the politics of the past. But their problem now is turning that into a more pragmatic engagement with the immediate problems that the country's facing.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of anger, a lot of frustration from those protesters. Can you give us just some idea of what led to this economic crisis in the first place?
There's some immediate factors which are common across many parts of the world. The Ukraine crisis most recently, the pandemic before that. There are specific things like the bombings of a series of churches in Sri Lanka in 2019, which put the very important tourist industry into a tailspin. But behind all of this, there's a long history of rather staggering economic incompetence on the part of the government, and particularly a dependence on expensive short-term borrowing in order to prop up their vanity projects, which they invested so heavily in the last 10 or 15 years.
Okay, we want to thank you for your insight. Jonathan Spencer, professor at the University of Edinburgh in the School of Social and Political Science. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.